Welcome to the Supercar Connection podcast. Find us on social at Supercar Connection, and full episodes drop Mondays on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe, send us to a fellow car lover. We appreciate all of your support. I'm Gavin, this is my boy Joe, and we're here to talk about cars.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready whenever you are.
We're going to do intros later. We got to hook your audience in the first couple seconds. So I have the most insane story. It involves a rocket with the Air Force, the Stradman, me totaling my first car in my first month in LA, and the Longtail Rally.
The Stradman?
All in the same day.
The Stradman's in this one.
Yeah,
Wait, this is all in one time frame, one day.
One day. This all occurred in one day.
This is going to be bonkers.
So we got, one second, we got a rocket, we got the Stradman.
Yep.
We got
totaling
your first car in LA.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Nope.
All
Longtail
right.
Rally.
Oh, Longtail Rally.
That comes in later. You'll see. All right,
so let's hear it.
Right when I moved to LA, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I came out here for cars. I was friends with Stradman at the time because he lived out in Utah where I was living, and both of our cars are being worked on by makes and models in Utah, so I met him in passing. Stradman was so new to the YouTube game when I met him that he had just purchased the Baby Mac. Now, he was a big YouTuber to me, but he wasn't what he is today. Like, he didn't have a Koenigsegg.
Right.
And
congrats on the Koenigsegg.
Oh my
Shout
God,
out.
dude.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, Stradman on the Koenigsegg. It's crazy.
So he was in town to show off the Baby Mac and try to get some merch sold for the raffle for the giveaway. And I invited him to come see a rocket launch up at Vandenberg Air Force Base because I was still an Air Force captain and I still had base access. So he's like, I'm down. Let's make a vlog out of it. So he hopped in my V6 Mustang 2013. It was like my first car in college that I had bought. And we drove from Los Angeles all the way up to Vandenberg Air Force Base. And I got him we drove like a dirt road in the middle of the night, way out, like as close as they'll let humans get to a rocket launch, which is about 2 or 3 miles away from the pad. I gave him a launch radio. He was out there with like, I think 2 or 3 of my uniformed guys from my old unit. And we did the countdown. And we listened to them, 10, 9, 8, 7, the whole bit, all the way down to 2 seconds. And then said, hold. And in my entire military career, I'd never heard them hold a launch with 1 second to go. And I believe it was a United Launch Alliance launch. I don't know what they were putting into orbit, but they scrapped it. So we're sitting out there in the middle of the night, waiting on this rocket to go, hoping that it'll launch. He's got this whole vlog. I'm thinking, I'm going to be the coolest guy ever. I'm in this entire Stradman vlog, getting to show off, with the Air Force, what my previous career was. And then we got the call from the radio after, I think we must have been out there for at least an hour waiting. And you don't get updates or anything. And they're just like, scrub.
It's cold.
It's done. That's it. So I was like, all right, we got to drive all the way back to LA. I'm sorry. And he ended up scrapping his vlog, so it never got uploaded. But on the way back, as we're driving down this dirt road on the base, I hit this pothole. And then the car starts making like a weird noise. And I was like, I didn't know anything about the cars at the time. And I get out, we look at it, and I was like, all right, well, the tire's not popped. The wheel looks fine. That's about all I knew to look at. And I was like, car still drives, but it made like this tick, tick, tick sound like when it was rolling. What we didn't know is that it had pulled the lugs off of the stripped them out a little bit. So they were working their way off the wheel, and the wheel was sliding itself off, but it was so slow that we made it from Vandenberg to LA, which was like, I think a 3 or 4 hour drive. And again, in the middle of the night, safely.
With loose lugs.
Huh?
With lugs.
With lugs that were making their way off. Now, I didn't feel much vibration in the car, but again, like I was so new to cars, like I didn't even know what to feel for,
Yeah.
So we get back, I drop him off, and I was like, thanks for coming. We gave it our best shot, and I drove one exit down the freeway, and then I was like, oh, I need gas. So I pull off the freeway to get gas. I get a full tank, and as I'm leaving the station, I just see this loud kaboom, and then my whole car dips down to the left, and the back wheel to my car goes past my window as I'm still driving. And I was like, oh, that's not the weight reduction we're looking for,
Not at all.
And I slide the car over. It was like instantly on ice, because I was dragging my axle.
Right, literally.
And I slid it over to the edge of the street and got out of my car. Nobody's out here. This was on Ventura Boulevard, up kind of near where you live.
Yeah.
And I chased my wheel down the street to stop it. And I'm thinking,
You got out and
I got
started
out of my
running
car.
after
Like
your
I
wheel.
parked it and sprinted down the street, caught up to the wheel, grabbed it, brought it back, and I was like, I can put it back, right? So I call a tow company and they show up. And while the tow company's on the way, I text Stradman and I'm like, dude, I think I really messed up my car. I don't really know what to do. I don't know why I reached out to him. I was just kind of like, he was the only person that was up at that hour. And he was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I was like, dude, I'm kind of bummed out. Like I just kind of risked it all. I left the military, moved to LA. I'm like on month 1. I don't have a job yet. I have a little bit of savings and now I don't have a car.
Right.
And he was like, well, I mean, I did YouTube and it like worked out for me. And I was like, maybe I try YouTube, I guess. So the car ended up getting towed to RDBLA.
RDB.
Yeah.
Wow. Boys over there. Shout out Vic.
That was the only shop I knew at the time.
They're probably not what they are today. They were not what they are today.
They had their YouTube channel. They were established enough for me to think it was very cool to have my car.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2006. No, it would have been in 2018.
Okay.
End of 2018.
They were getting there.
Yeah.
They were definitely on a roll. Yeah.
That's when they started up their YouTube and everything.
If you watch like a really old video of theirs, you'll see them like walking around my Mustang. Like, yeah, we just got this Mustang in and stuff. So I had to go home for Christmas, right? Almost like it was like a couple weeks after this. I still hadn't really figured my life out. Insurance gave me a rental car for a couple weeks. And I was taking background acting jobs at the time to like barely make ends meet, but I was burning through my savings. And it got to a point where in December, I was like, if I don't figure out a job, I am out of money at the end of December. And like, I didn't have like a trust fund or like if you get in trouble, we got you type scenario.
Daddy will bail you out.
It was like, dude, if I ran out of money, I had to leave LA. And that was it. I was like, I got here in September and I'm already out of the game, you know? So things were not looking good for me. But the kid who was riding passenger seat at the time was like, dude, I work at this car shop. You should come and interview there and maybe we can get you a job. And I ended up getting the job. I asked for my first paycheck in advance. And at the time, the car was getting appraised. It was Christmas time, so it was at home for Christmas. I knew I needed to come home and buy a car of some sort. I needed something cool, but I didn't have much money to work with because I think my bank account had less than $1,000 in it. And I was like, well, what can I get to do this YouTube thing that's cool enough with less than $1,000, you know? So the insurance company called me and they ended up giving me way more for the car than I was expecting. The Mustang had like 100-something thousand miles on it as a base V6 and no mods, and they offered me $14,000 for it, which is
nice.
a lot.
Who's the insurance company?
It was USA.
USA?
Shout out to the military.
They'll take care of you.
They hooked it up.
They will definitely take care of you.
So they said, yeah, you got $14,000 to play with. And I took my first paycheck and I was like, that means I have $15,000. Well, I found a Roush at a Honda dealership that Honda did not know what a Roush was. It was supposed to be $25,000. They thought it was a stock V6, so they priced it at $15,000. So I walked in and I bought the car in cash with just a few dollars left in my account. I didn't know how to finance yet. This is like, I was so young. And I picked up the one of like, I think it's like 332 V6 Roush Mustang straight from factory Roush.
Right.
And that was my YouTube car. And I started with a car that a lot of people made fun of. Like, oh, you got a V6, you should have gotten a V8. And to this day, like still people are like, I'm like, I have a V10 now. Like, chill out. But like, it's not good enough, you know? But that was a car that started the YouTube career for me. Now, this is where it all came full circle. This is crazy. So at that same night, when we were watching this rocket launch happen, and I was going through the worst time of my life, the two people who would change my life forever, years later, were waiting on the same rocket to shoot off so they could watch together. So if you've ever heard of the Longtail Rally, the two creators, Mike and Julie, were down in, I believe, Laguna, waiting on the rocket's launch so they could see it, because Mike was really into, I think it was a SpaceX launch, actually, because they wanted to watch a SpaceX launch. Mike was really into SpaceX, so he's like, I want to watch this launch, and he was at a party. So he goes out on the balcony, he's like by himself. And then this girl, Julie, comes out too, because she's also into rockets and like wants to see it. And because the launch got scrubbed, they didn't know it gets scrubbed because they don't have the launch radio like we did. So they're out there for like hours waiting on it to come, not knowing any updates. And they're talking to each other, end up really liking each other. And now they're in a relationship. And they both live up in Los Angeles. Well, fast forward, I want to say it was like 2+ years, something like that. I'm pulling into my driveway in Hollywood, where I was living at the time, in that V6 Mustang, minimum wage finance job, like making almost no money. And I saw this post and it said, drop a comment to win a contest to win this print and of any car you want. So I was like, okay, so I enter and I end up winning. And like a month later, they hit me up. They're like, you won this contest. What's your address? We'll mail you the print of any car you want. Favorite car in the world is Lamborghini Murcielago SV. So I was like, I want this one.
It's a good pick.
Like, okay.
It's a good pick.
What's your address? I gave them my address. And like, you're a half mile from our house. Do you want to come pick it up? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I drive up to their house up in the hills, amazing property. And I start talking to Mike, and they're like, well, you seem like a cool car guy. You're actually like fairly connected in the industry. We're trying to start this rally. It's going to be called the Longtail Rally. Maybe you can help us find some sponsors. And that was the beginning of me working with Longtail Rally. We're about to do I think this is the 4th year of us doing the rally this summer. And last year was the first year the year before it was the first year I got to bring a supercar to that rally. So when I met them, I was on minimum wage. And now this year, we're going to take my supercar to my hometown on the East Coast on the Longtail Rally. And they met because of that launch that I was thinking I was having the worst day of my life. But in reality, a launch that was creating a terrible day for me was creating something long-term down the line that would make my life completely different in the best way possible.
Literally the definition of putting you in the position that you need to be, suffer, pay your dues to get to the point where now you're able, like you said, do exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So what is the Longtail Rally?
Oh, dude, it's fantastic. It's a rally life with a pinch of chill. So like if you want to be the guy that like if you've ever heard Gumball, it's kind of that concept. You have a bunch of supercars, you go drive around for a bunch of days, and you have fun with your friends. But instead of like we call it like champagne on like a Ferrari, like going crazy, you know, like party really hard, really late, like wake up super early and drive like 12 hours. Like they took that concept and they're like, okay, well, how do we still do the rally thing, but you still sleep until like 11 o'clock? And everybody that comes on the rally, nobody's wearing like name brand. Everybody's self-made. Like everybody really grinds to be there. Some people are like barely affording the rally, you know, but they want to be around these like-minded people that are just fun to hang out with, you know. That's Longtail Rally. And I've never seen a group of people that felt more like family on the West Coast, because I'm from the East Coast, than the people that attend Longtail Rally each year.
Sounds like a good time.
What's your hometown?
Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Chapel Hill, North
small
Carolina.
town southern.
Some North Carolina vibes.
Yeah.
Go Tar Heels type?
Oh yeah, Tar Heels. Yeah. 5th generation Tar Heel.
Fifth generation.
Yeah, my mom, my mom's mom, my dad's dad, and both directions of my family all went to.
That was a shot in the dark by me. I didn't know that was.
Oh, we're like that's why all my cars are baby
there.
blue. They were always baby blue for UNC.
That kind of honestly, that does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
When does this Longtail Rally take place?
This year, I think is the end of June to beginning of July. It's usually around the summertime. And
so you're shipping your car out there?
I am. Yeah. We're gonna start in. Oh, you need me to move around to.
Do we need to
turn that on? Yeah, we got motion lights.
Yeah.
Thanks.
How long does how like?
I don't know. We're not moving enough.
Do you want to just do every time it cuts off? Just have Benji just walk back and forth. Yeah.
I'm also going to clap.
All right. Right.
You know what's funny? Why we have the motion lights in California? You like legally have to have those in a shop like this, because if somebody breaks in and they hurt themselves, they can sue you because they can't see. So you have to have lights.
Wait, you got to explain that, because there's legalities in their home. So you're stating in a shop like this in what entity specifically?
So I'm not a lawyer. I don't want to get too specific.
No. This is disclaimer.
To my knowledge,
nothing said here can
as
be used
not
against
an
us.
actual lawyer.
Yes.
You have to have motion sensing lights. We do in this shop, because if someone breaks in and we don't have lights that turn on so they can see to properly rob us, if they get hurt, they can place a lawsuit.
That sounds like some LA County.
Whether or not they can win or not, it all depends on the lawyers. But there is a case there. You have to have the motion lights.
I'll give an arm. You think an arm wave is enough?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
So every few minutes, we'll give an arm wave. The only people that will even be worried about it will be the YouTube viewers.
I'm just surprised that's an OC thing or in a Los Angeles County, or a state of California thing.
It's crazy.
Because for me, like in up in LA, obviously a lot of things are different based on here and a lot of people on that side of thing. But even just seeing a lot of the car community split, like in LA, you have a specific type of person that likes specific type of cars and drives certain things. Here in Orange County, you have a completely different type of person.
Yeah.
In your experience working here, especially we're sitting here in Ghostworks in case like this hasn't been preference and everything in between. What are some of the differences you've seen having lived in LA, experiencing that scene from the bottom, worked your way up, now getting towards the top? What have you seen in major contrast, or if there's any contrast between both car communities, both areas?
Yeah,
because we're so close, but they seem pretty different.
In my opinion, they are so close geographically, but the type of person and the cars and even the purpose somebody would be involved in it is completely for two different reasons.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This is a great question. So, like, if you want to be around cars, if you want, like, I know we watched Fast and Furious growing up. It is literally Fast and Furious in real life here. Every single day, there's nitrous, there's underglow, there's late night meetups in, like, parking garages. Like, you'll have 100 supercars bombing down the freeway. Like, it is literally the movie. and even sometimes the Fast and Furious cars show up. So like,
you're saying in Orange County.
In Orange County and LA.
Or Southern California in general.
Both of them, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So like
yes,
if you want to
absolutely.
be in the car scene, what you're seeing on Instagram and the movies, it's really happening here every single day.
Legitimately.
So the difference between LA car scene and OC car scene is I found there's more like industry leaders and manufacturers in Orange County, whereas there's more of like culture stuff in LA. Now, when I lived in LA, I feel like the night car scene was a little more active than it is now. This was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago where like there were a lot more late night meetups. Like you only had to go 3 or 4 days before somebody was hosting something with like 200 plus cars. You could go on drives all the time. Like you would be around downtown LA, you'd be around Hollywood, Santa Monica, you name it. And now it's kind of like they're fewer and farther between. I think part of it is because the police have really cracked down on modifications on vehicles to a level where it is like we are no longer like, I'm going to go on land and say, we are no longer serving and protecting. We are being a little bit like, it's harassment a little bit.
I agree with you.
You know,
100%.
where like, if you're being chill, like I get it. Some people ask for it with their cars. And
Absolutely.
the bad part is like, there are some vehicles out there that like give the rest of us like a bad rep. Like you won't catch me doing like high speed freeway races in traffic like some people like to do. Whereas like, you know, there's like the takeover scene, which is so separate from the rest of the car scene where like, I can totally understand, like if you're a cop, dude, crack that stuff down, end it, you know? But like some of us that just want to go into, like last week, I brought this K truck to a park and chill in like a shopping center, and the whole thing got shut down by cops. And no one was doing it. No revving, no burnouts, like nothing. And then all cops came in there like, if you stay, you will be arrested. If you stay, you'll be arrested. And I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. So like, it's an interesting dynamic because the cops are just trying to do their job. The car guys are just kind of having fun. Sometimes the car guys get out of hand. Sometimes the cops get a little too spicy. Back to your question, the difference between the two. You have that more, I want to say like, culture side of it in LA where like you can meet up with some people and maybe the type of car you see up there is like a lot of modified BMWs, like you'll see, you know, some Mustangs, you'll see
some Porsches maybe.
Yeah, definitely some Porsches, like some Valley Girl stuff, you know, like you'll occasionally have like maybe a McLaren or a Lamborghini. You definitely like stock Lamborghinis for sure in LA area. You get to OC and then you get the crazy stuff. Like it is not uncommon to see, like I've like multiple times have seen like full carbon Paganis on the freeway while I'm like driving to the grocery store.
Literally.
Like that happens, you know, or you'll see like we were talking about the Apollo IE kind of rolling around Orange County. We'll see Koenigsegg's. I'm getting like I love them to death, but I'm getting tired of seeing Koenigsegg's. They're everywhere.
No, see that part I
That's
understand.
Crazy.
The rest of the country, at least a lot of people that are going to watch this, they can't even fathom the concept that you're saying. Driving on the freeway on a Thursday afternoon and seeing a full carbon Pagani, you've come to a point where that has become a norm.
It's
where
normal.
You see it and you're just like, oh, that's pretty cool.
You can 100% appreciate it. I'm still going to whip out my phone and be like, okay, it's a Pagani.
That's worth
it. But we're kind of getting desensitized to it a little bit because we're around it all, like this morning.
Absolutely.
Like we saw an F40 and I didn't even take a picture of it.
So I'm
like
saying.
it was just there.
I didn't either.
We were like, let's go take a picture of it. And then like one thing happened and we're like, it's fine.
Whatever.
We'll see it again.
We'll probably see it again.
It's no big deal.
I'll probably see the same exact one pretty soon.
But you know something interesting is when I was in the Air Force and I had to live in Korea for a little bit, I did a tour over there. Dude, I was like, by the end of the tour, I was stoked to see like a Camaro. I was like, oh my God, a car, something, you know? And then I remember watching all the YouTube videos religiously because I wanted to be part of it because I missed it. And there were no supercars where I was living. And then the second I got back, I kissed the ground in LA. I was like, okay, we're back. You know, the supercars.
You smelled that smog and you were like, well, baby, like that. I got that juice in me.
But it's like, it's real. It's like you forget how, I guess how good we have it here in the car scene and how many opportunities there are. Like everything we've done today essentially has been for free. Like you can go to the largest cars and coffee in the country every single Saturday, see 300 plus of the craziest cars in the world every Saturday for free. And you can bring as many friends as you want. And that's one event of like, there's easily an event every single day here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the OC scene I think is a little more refined. There's definitely some more hypercars down here. There's a lot more money. There's more generational wealth. I think the crowd here is a little bit older. Whereas like there's like hustlers in LA, but there's like old money down here.
Yes.
Where like the guy's on like his 10th supercar and it's like, well, what business do you own? He's like, oh, it's like my grandpa's thing that got like handed down or whatever.
Yeah, like
we
own garbage trucks.
And they're like big collections here.
Absolutely.
Like LA, it's not as many. It's not as many collections. Down here, you've got the collections of like this guy's got eight Paganis or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I kind of equate it to, at least the difference from my experience, is kind of like exactly to play into your point. In LA, you have people that are hustling, trying to make it. So their purpose of getting to a point where they can buy a supercar is they're buying it for the value it gives them, the connections it builds. You buy a Ferrari because you want to meet other people with a Ferrari, with Lamborghini, so you can make more connections and you can grow. OC, like for example, that person who buys that Ferrari, they're going to treat that Ferrari like this is their one entity. They don't want to modify it. They don't want to do anything to it. I need it crisp and clean. Nobody else drive it. You come to Orange County and you have kids with R8s and they're like, no, I got a stage 3 tune on it. Take my thing. I'm good. Take the keys. I'll take my rolls. Like it's just a completely different mentality. And because of that, you see two drastically different points. Like right behind you is your Audi R8, which is, you can even equate to it, modified. Look at your paint job on it versus my Ferrari here. Like this is my baby. And like I'm getting to a point where I want to be able to mod it and do things to it. But I'm still reworking it because this was the first thing that allowed me to enter into the echelon of this, where I can make connections and do that. I want to get to a point where we can sit here and this can look just as nasty and amazing as that thing. But that's kind of one of the biggest differences. And I feel like there needs to be more of like a, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's to each their own, but I just feel like it's insane how we can live in a place where there's so much abundance of it, but at the same time, there's such a drastic difference simply because of the fact that somebody has one goal in mind when they go after something, and somebody else has a completely different goal in mind. And all it is based on geographical location. People don't understand that.
I mean, you've heard it a million times. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So like geographically, you could be 40 minutes apart, but if the crowd you hang out with in OC, like I miss LA. Like I miss the hustlers, the people that are like, I'm here to make it. I moved here from like middle of nowhere, Minnesota. I'm here. I'm the only one in my family that did this. Whereas like I meet kids in Orange County and there's a kid rolling around here who's not even legally allowed to drink yet, and he has a Huayra BC. And I can't relate to that.
You can't
at all.
I'm the type of
He's
person.
not him specifically, but like that type of person that just gets handed the car. They're not of the hustler mindset. And like that's fine. Like they can do their thing, but it's like, dude, it's like if when GTA 6 comes out, imagine like your first day playing the game, you skip the whole campaign, you get a cheat code that says infinite money.
You got the penthouse already, you wake up, you got the whole car garage built.
It would ruin the game for you.
It would.
And that's what's happening in Orange County with a lot of these kids that like have access to this stuff. It's like, dude, like how cool would it be to have that toy? Correct. But like, do you want it?
Someone hand me one, I'll take it.
Right? But like, do you really want it if you didn't earn it? Like the day I bought this, I posted on my story, I said my name's the only one on the title. It's the earned it mod. And like I'd rather have like a clapped out car that I'm like barely affording that I earned and hustled for and even wrench on than something that just like my parents are like, you get this.
I'll send it out for the mods. I'll get it back in 3 weeks.
If it was a Pagani, I might be okay with it. I might be okay with it. But I get what you're saying. Like when I got my 4C, it was like, because I did not spend a lot of money on the 4C. I got it at the perfect time. It was great. It was all good. But it was like this is a fast mid-engine sports car, and it looks crazy. So like I remember getting off the truck, jumping in, driving it, and it was like such a surreal kind of experience. And then, I've had it now for 3 years and everything like that, but I've been able to really appreciate it. And then it's like I jump in the Ferrari for the first time, and then like really especially the first time I drove a Lambo, and we took it up Angeles Crest, it like just, in a way, it kind of ruined me. Because
oh no, it destroyed him.
It was just because then it's like, I got back in my car and all of a sudden it's like I like my car a little bit less.
I feel that.
It was so much fun. It was ridiculous. So it's like you just go like step one is a Pagani. Like where do you go from that?
There's no way to go up. There's no suffering involved. So there's no value add. And then like for example, like one of my mottos when it comes to like doing business, anything business related, when you enter a business, say I buy something, let's say like for example this place. I spend millions of dollars on the building, I get it renovated, I do everything super nice. I don't even have a client yet. All the room I have is to go like this. I've already dumped millions of dollars into something versus building something brick by brick by brick and understanding the layers to it, building the foundation, suffering and going through it. That's when you get to the top, you have such a structural foundation and you've suffered to the point where you feel it and everything in between, you pour your life into that.
It's a reward.
It's a reward. And
it's
then
not
it
just an object.
continues to push you so that you can create more versus you look at a Pagani like a Camry and you're like, I scraped the wheel. I'm like, there's 40 G's and it's like, no, it's whatever. Versus do you even the suffering, even the fact that you have this paint job, which I think is bonkers, everything in between. But like the fact that you can do this, but you know it's your hard, tangible work that even whatever happens, you break something, I'm going right at it. I'm going to continue to push it. I'm going to figure out how to solve it because it's just, some people have that in them. Some people don't.
Yeah.
And I feel like LA people are more oriented to that. When I wake up, I have to wake up and make things happen. No one's going to save me. No one's coming to my rescue. If no one makes something happen, if I don't make it happen, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
That's kind of like the difference, going back to what I was talking about earlier. That's the main difference between everything. And it's just, I was seeing it more and more, especially the internet culture has, in my opinion, has ruined a lot of things where like the younger generation, disclaimer too, like, I don't know, we don't talk about our age and stuff like that, but I'm 25. So I'm in a specific generational pool where a lot of people my age, they live in a fallacy land where they see things and they get gifted things and the reality becomes like there's no value to anything, like you're stating. Like they treat everything like it's a gift, and this, I get another one, I'll do this. Their instant gratification is off the charts, to the point where like if you don't suffer and hustle, you're never going to be able to truly fruitfully enjoy life to the fullest.
Joe's motivation.
I'm super motivation right now.
we love
he
a
struck a good point
rant.
with me, so that hit me right on the chords, and I was like, that was perfect.
You heard of the marshmallow test that I think Stanford did? This is like an old test. It's like really famous. They take kids. They take kids, they put them in a room, and they give them a marshmallow. And they say, don't eat it. If you wait until we come back, we'll give you 2. But they don't tell them when they're going to come back. And the trick is they don't come back. They just wait until the kid breaks and eats a marshmallow. And then they say, okay. And then they walk out of the room, and some kids, like the second the door closes, they eat the marshmallow, you know? Some kids will like lick it. Some kids will look at it. They'll poke it, whatever. Some kids will like eat half of it, you know? But some kids will sit there and just wait. They'll fall asleep waiting or whatever. And then eventually, you know, someone does have to come back in, and then maybe they get their second marshmallow. But here's the cool part. Is, like I said, I think Stanford did this. They followed these kids like decades later in their life. And almost with 100% accuracy, the kids who waited to get the second marshmallow were crazy successful in the life. And the kids that ate it right away were like, you know, going nowhere.
Delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification. Bingo. Yep. And like, if you can have that, like they were like, this is like the one thing you need is just being able to like be patient. And if you can do that, like it seemed to be the key for anything.
Yeah, you can think if you can think any bit long term. Like when we started this, it was like we're like it could be a year before we see any sort of traction, and that's just okay. We're just going to commit to at least a year, and it's like how many? I think like even like Spotify was like after this third episode, it was like congrats, like you've done better than 95% of people that start a show. Like you've done more than more than 2 episodes. It's like wow, people really sit down and do one episode, and they're like that was hard.
We tried. We didn't get 1 million views.
Yeah, we didn't get 1 million views on our first episode upload, and we're like, well, forget it. Yeah. Like going back to your point, like I feel like I think I've read a similar, not a study, but I've read like one of the common traits in like the uber hyper successful people. It's a certain amount of ego. Okay, I'm big on that because a lot of people who know me personally, they understand the way I operate, and like I am definitely like an ego based person. Lights. I'm an ego based person to the point where not necessarily I'll start over again. Not necessarily where I have something where I think I'm X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But you have to have a presence, and you have to believe you are somebody. Yeah. Because nobody else is going to believe in you like that. Yeah. So if I don't present myself like I'm the baddest dude when I walk into places, who's going to do that for me? Yeah. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, like, you go back to talking about that delayed gratification. Being able to wake up every day, do the same task repeatedly, knowing that eventually the compound curve will hit, and all of a sudden you'll start skyrocketing with success, and then combine that with any bit of tunnel vision, you will destroy 90% of the people in the world. Because people my age, my bracketed, all they do is watch TikTok. Their attention spans are getting shorter.
That's also me.
I watch.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying
also, keep watching TikTok because, like,
please keep watching the reels. Keep watching TikTok. Yes,
we need you desperately.
But it's that instant gratification dynamic where it slowly shrinks to the point where their attention spans are lower. Yeah, all they want is everything just given to them, and if it's not like that, there is no follow through. Yeah, there's no development of anything, and it's like it's even destroying like everything the entire integrity of everything we know. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. And I even see, like, we're talking about even with the car world.
Yeah.
How about cars? Can we get back on some cars?
Let's get back in some cars.
I got a good car story for you guys to go off that, because we're gonna keep them hooked with stories. People love stories.
Let's do it.
So the last element that you need in addition to delayed gratification is how well can you take a punch and stay in a fight. So, like, how bad do you really want it? So this was my dream since I was a kid, right? I wanted a supercar. That was my entire personality. It was like whatever road it takes to get to a supercar. And I have like a little picture of a Lamborghini I've had since I was in like middle school because I wanted a V10. And it started to look like I was going to be able to afford it. This was a couple years ago when I bought this. And I took a test drive in an R8 that we had at the shop, and I was like, this is the one. It's the Gen 1. That's going to be my supercar. I can get a V10. It's under 100 grand. I can barely swing the payments. Like, you know, if you guys help me out on like the labor, I'll make this our marketing car. We had a deal, and I was like, if I don't strike on this now, it's going to be years from now if I don't do it. And my other goal is I wanted it in my 20s because I wanted to see what it'd be like to be a kid to have a toy like this, but earn it myself. So I picked out the car. I called the dealership out in Oklahoma City and I said, I'd like to buy this R8. And they said, good timing. Because I had been watching it since like December. I ended up buying it, I think in like February or something. And I called them and I was like, I want to buy this car. Do you need like a deposit? I want to do a PPI on it, make sure it's all good. And they're like, no, it's cool. How long will your bank take to get the funds? I was like, I just reach out to them. I got approved for the loan. Let me just get whatever paperwork I got. I'll let you know. And they're like, okay, great. I said, I think it'll take like 2 weeks. And they're like, no problem. That night, this car actually went up for auction automatically on the internet. The price we agreed on was $86,000 even. It had 69,000 miles on it, and
69,000.
69,000.
60. When was this? What year?
This is a 2012.
And you bought this what year? I'm sorry.
I bought it. It's coming up on its 2-year anniversry.
Holy cow!
Nice. Wow. Yeah, I put 20,000 miles on it in like the first year.
That's insane.
Yeah. But the I told him, you know, I want to buy this car. It went up for auction that night, and it went past like 95 on the auction. I was like, oh my God, they're going to get rid of this car. And I like texted them, and I was like, hey, are you guys still selling this? You know, and then I got a text like halfway through the next day, and they're like, oh, don't worry about the auction. It was automatically listed. You said you were going to buy it. Your word is good. We'll stick with that. There was no contract, but we'll still honor it. And I was like, you guys are going to pass up like almost $11,000 plus to just sell it.
Well, there might have been auction fees. You don't. I mean, your offer might have ended up being a little more, maybe.
Honestly, I think after I met these guys, I think they're just good guys.
Yeah, maybe so.
And that's very well a possibility.
It's very well possible. Oklahoma?
Well, here's where it gets crazy because
I had in LA. I'll tell you that.
I had the opportunity to return the favor. This got wild. So I told him I wanted to buy it, and I was like really nervous about an $86,000 purchase, right? And California adds $9,000 in tax on top of that, upfront in cash.
That fast.
To register it. And
register in Montana, baby.
I put out my loan documents, and I was like, okay, let's go pick up this car, right? So it was gonna be picked up, I think like it was gonna be like 2 months from then was like when the planets aligned for me to be able to go and get it. And one of my best friends at the time, Corley, who is the Toyo girl, like one of the most beautiful, amazing like women I've ever come across. I've known her my entire time living in LA. She's like, this was like right before I pulled the trigger on it. She's like, if you buy this car, I'll fly out to go get it with you. And I was like, all right, this sounds like an awesome story. My best friend and I are going to go pick this up. I wanted my mom to come, but she was working. But I was like, all right, Corley, you're going to come with me. So
it's a good second.
We had it all lined up. And then the Air Force called me one day. And I haven't heard from the Air Force in years because I'd been a reservist for 3+, and I was pretty much like done. You know, I hadn't done active duty or put on the uniform in a long time. And they were like, oh, we are just catching up on some outstanding bills. You owe $17,000 to the U.S. Air Force. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah. So we went back, and when I did 3 years of active duty, I owed him 4. But I made a trade, and I said, because I met Stradman, and he got me hooked on this YouTube idea. This was a little bit before I moved to LA. And I traded my last year of active duty for 3 reserve years. And therefore said that fulfilled your time requirement, but you owe us a quarter of your college tuition back because you didn't do your 4th year of active. And I was like, where was that in the fine print? Who explained that? And why are you coming? I think it was 8 years after I graduated college, they were trying to collect this bill. And they wanted it in 30 days. I was like, this doesn't even seem real.
Oh, they're ridiculous.
And I'm about to pick this car up, and they're about to hit me with a bill that is going to knock me out of being able to afford this car. So I was like, well, I didn't know what to do. So I start making payments on it. I was like, just buy me a little bit of time. I need to figure this out. So I'm starting making payments to this loan that I was not expecting. And then I start to fight it. And I was like, this doesn't seem right. I start calling some of my other officers. I'm like, is anybody else getting this phone call from the Air Force? And everybody's like, no. And then one of my officers who I serve with in Space Command calls me and goes, I got hit. His was really high because he went to Embry-Riddle. He's like, I got hit with a big hit. And he's like, I don't know what to do. So I'm going way up the chain in the military, walking circles around this shop, trying to fight a collection of 17 grand. And I ended up winning. because the Air Force told me, they were like, no, you can't do this. You're going to lose. Like, I don't care if you hire a lawyer. Like, we're the Air Force. We're the government. We're going to collect. Yeah. And this is where I got to return the favor to the dealership. Was I didn't know at the time I was going to win. I got on the airplane at 5 o'clock in the morning out of LAX to go to Oklahoma City to pick this up on a one-way flight. And the Air Force called me like super early, and I sent it straight to voicemail. And they will not ruin the day that I have looked forward to my entire life. To me, this is like having a kid. This is like the day that I dreamed about, you know? Yep. I was like, you're not going to ruin it. I'll handle this tomorrow. I don't care if you guys need a payment. Nope. You can ding me with whatever. You know, so then I land and I have 2 more missed calls from the Air Force. And I was like, no, not going to do this. And I remember even as I landed, anybody that I even had like random beef with, which wasn't many, I think it was like just a handful of people, but I just texted them like, hey man, like I haven't heard from you in a long time. Just want to make sure everything's cool. Like, hope you have a great day, like doing well. I want my conscience clear. Like I wanted to have the best day ever.
Nothing is going to ruin this moment.
Right?
Nothing.
So like, and I get picked up by an Audi at the airport, and I was like, man, this is an experience that I'm not used to, you know, because I'm not used to buying fancy stuff, you know, whatever. And they drive me to the dealership, and I remember getting out of the car, and I was by myself at the time because Corley would show up later that day. And I just remember like being by myself, this car in the parking lot, getting out of that car and looking at it, and just having the chills where I just stood there and stared at it like a dad seeing his kid for the first time, you know. And I was just like, this is what 13-year-old you said he was going to do. And I wish that 13-year-old me was there, which I kind of was, but like, you know what I mean? And just be like, buddy, we did it. Like we made it happen by ourselves on our terms, without cutting any corners, without screwing anyone over, without lying, without stealing from anyone. We did it the right way and we earned it. And that's why this moment is going to be so sweet. And I remember getting in it, and I bought it sight unseen. So I'd never test driven it, never sat in it.
You never test
I'd never driven
nothing?
a V10 R8 in my life.
I
drove a V8 test drive here, but I never drove this.
So to make sure I'm understanding this to the complete scale, you flew from LA to Oklahoma City to buy an Audi R8 Gen 1 with 69,000 miles
without seeing,
sight unseen, without nothing, while all this was going on.
Yes. Yeah.
I
have a Risk It All tattooed on my arm. Yeah. And before I did it, though, I did ask for a PPI.
Ballsy move.
I asked for a PPI because I did have the clutch inspected and the suspension and the tires and stuff. But the shop was like, anything else messed up with the car, we'll fix it. Like, just get it here. It's a great price. It's the only one you can afford. I was like, all right, let's do it.
We'll make it happen.
So I wouldn't have done that without the backing of Ghostworks.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I started it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the exact moment I wanted. And the guy that sold it to me, I handed him my check with every dollar I've ever had, because I took out a loan and then I put money down. All this, it was all of it. Here you go. I don't own anything now. Right. You have it all. Goodbye. And I drove off. He's like, well, let's take around the block and let's fill it with gas, and I'll go with you to kind of show you the ropes of driving this car that you just bought. And we're sitting at the gas pump, and I get another call from the Air Force. And I answer it, and they say, Captain Collette, we've been trying to reach you all day. And I said, look, I'm having a big day today. I'm kind of busy, but what is it? Humor me. And they said, we wanted to let you know that upon further investigation, we have decided that the money that we were trying to collect from you was in error, so you no longer owe us, and the payments you've made thus far are going to be refunded to your account. Have a nice day. And I was like, I didn't ask any questions. I was like, okay. And I get back in the car, and I look at the guy, and I was like, dude, today somehow just got better. And in the irony that the sales guy that sold me the car, his name was Angel. And I don't think there's any way anyone could have written that exactly how it played out unless it was like divine intervention.
It sounds like it's literally like the universe put everything specifically in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how you feel about all that, but like I'm big into that specific like
100%.
Thing. Like everything happens for a reason. You go through life, you go through your struggles, you do the things you do. Everything specific, like even whatever happened, whatever you've done in your life, and the same with us to put us in this moment right now. Like I believe everything happens for a reason. Yeah, that's an incredible story.
But the best part was I had the chance to walk away from this, and everyone would have understood it, and no one would have faulted me because I said I have this new bill, but I said I'm going to find a way to afford it. And for the record, I make $5,000 a month, and this is my toy, and the payment is $1,400. Plus $250 in insurance, plus mods, plus gas. You do the math, there's not a lot left over. And I live in California. So to take on a loan
you live in California.
of $17,000 on top of this, that's like buying another Mustang.
Easily.
So it was very risky. It was very scary. But I said, if I don't follow through on this, this is me being tested of how bad do I want it? Will I find another way to make more money? Which I did find a way to make a little bit more money once I got this car, because it does change your mindset a little bit. Because 100%. Then you're like, I am no longer the guy that drives the V6 Mustang. Like materialistic things aside, it changes your mindset because you now have a new responsibility. You now have a new bigger payment that you're responsible for. And either you hustle to pay it and figure it out and earn it, or you lose it. And once you drive a V10,
you don't want to give it
go
up.
backwards.
You never
go
backwards.
Cannot go back.
See, that was my problem.
Cut off my arm and sell a kidney.
That was his problem.
It's exactly what I was saying about the Lamborghini earlier. I drove the Lambo and it was like, well, that's it.
Yeah, that's
I need a V10, and that's why R8 is on my radar. Unfortunately,
would you say that's going to be your next car, or you think that's just on the radar in general?
I think it's going to be my next car. It's kind of like, this is how I'm thinking about it. Depending on how things work out in the next couple months, because that's my time frame right now. I'm like, I've had my car for 3 years. I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
If things go how I hope they go, R8. If things go not quite how I hope they go, probably GTR.
Okay.
If things go really...
That was my second choice, by the way.
Yeah. If things go like just nothing changes,
Yeah.
I'm just going to get into like a Supra. Is probably it. But hopefully...
We could definitely make that Supra.
Dude, those are all the cars I was looking at.
Like, we could probably make that Supra
for sure. I mean, we could make the 4C wild, but...
That's very true too.
Yeah, but I want a V10, so I want an R8.
Are you thinking about upgrading anytime soon or changing anything?
No, I wouldn't say anytime soon. Then I think I need to buy a house first.
Respect.
Either buy a house or find a way to scale income a little bit, because this is a fantastic toy. And like, I have the privilege of driving a lot of fantastic supercars, either through the shop or through my connections or photo shoots or what you have it. And like, I have more fun in this than I've ever had in a McLaren. I've had more fun in this than I've had in any Ferrari I've ever driven. So it's like, I think I've reached I love my Mustang, but my Mustang can't hold a candle to a McLaren experience, even though it's still mine. But this is so much fun. So I think this will keep me happy for plenty of time.
So a couple questions for you then. First, what color is this underneath? Like, what's the original color?
Black. It was black.
It's
black. Yep.
Okay, so black paint, and then what do you have over the top of this? Because anyone that's like watching this video
probably
is probably
like,
like,
what the heck?
What is going on?
To this thing?
I don't even know what it looks like on the video at this point, but it looks insane. Obviously, garners a lot of attention. So, like, what are we looking at here?
So the original color was black paint, and then we wrapped my signature like baby blue UNC Tar Heel geometric camo on both my cars. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years on the Mustang. I had it for a full year on this car. I said, okay, it's time to grow up and change. I don't need to look like I'm a Fortnite character anymore. So the Mustang's getting rewrapped like a fighter jet right now. And this is going to get rewrapped by whatever Skeppel comes up with. He's a fantastic artist. He's working on it right now. But it's taking him a long time. So this was geometric. We painted over it with house paint. Shout out to Rosalio, the great. He is a artist from San Diego that said, let me paint your car. And I was like, let's do it. Why not? Because the wrap's getting changed anyway. It's all coming off. Who dumps paint on a car? And the internet crucified me for that once I posted, because I was like, this is going to be divisive. I didn't expect hundreds of thousands of comments like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Kill yourself. Like crazy, aggressive.
It is wild what people say on the internet.
People
like they got mad. And I was like, okay, didn't think it was going to anger people, but I guess I'll roll with the punches. And then we felt it, and we're like, this kind of feels like a chalkboard, and then we drew on it with chalk, and we're like, hey, that works. So now when I go to car shows, I bring a bucket of chalk with me, and I let everybody draw on it and sit in it and do whatever. So then it kind of feels like it's our supercar and not just my toy that I shove in your face, like, hey, I got this cool thing, you know? It's like, no, like, it's like this thing that we can all kind of share, you know?
I think that's extremely unique too. Like, even going back to what you're saying about the car show thing, you being able to create an interactive experience for anybody that knows you, sees you on the platform, sees what you're doing, you'll build a fan base and people who are loyal to you, because you're literally incorporating them from the physical world to the digital world. Because now, for example, any content you make going forth with this, anybody who is there who got to sign this is going to be like, that car, I literally have my handwriting on. Whatever message they put. So they're going to be able to follow you and continue to do that. You said there's no official time frame for the next wrap?
Dude, the second this render comes, it's overdue. So second it's here, I'm ripping this off.
How long has it been painted?
How long at this point? 2+ months at least.
2 months.
It spent a long time here though, because while I was painted, I did a clutch job. I pulled the transmission.
I love this.
I pulled the transmission. We fixed a lot of stuff on it. We did carbon cleaning. So your viewers are never going to forget that burglars in California need motion sensing lights, you know, to
Can we get that up to like somebody at the higher ups? Why is this even a thing? That don't make
Before
no sense.
they fix that, can you take the exhaust laws out of California?
Don't even
like, can that just go away,
don't
please?
Don't even get me started.
We roll right through it.
Dude,
I mean,
yes, don't even get me started with that. Like,
Joe Rogan just shot a Cybertruck in the middle of an episode with an arrow, so we can wave at a light randomly.
Yeah.
Did he really do that?
Yeah, he was on with Elon Musk, and he was like, what if I shot the Cybertruck with an arrow? And he was like, I don't know, let's try it. And they just like grabbed the camera and went out to the garage, and he shot it with an arrow, like in the middle of the episode. And then they walked back and sat back down and kept going.
Texas is built different. Texas is for sure built different.
Well, yeah. So this is crazy. I even like you were talking to someone at the show today, and there was like a kid that was kind of reluctant to like write on the chalk, and you were just like, when are you ever going to get a chance to write something on a supercar ever again? And he was like, oh, okay, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
That was honestly, I think I was standing behind you when you said that. What you said that, like I watched the kid's face light up, and he kind of realized that he went from like, I don't want to be disrespectful, to the point where like the owner of the car is literally like giving me the opportunity. Yeah. And like as soon as you said that, he like his attitude changed. He grabbed the marker. He's like, I'm gonna go ham right now. Yeah. And I have no idea what he wrote, because even we got a chance.
Was it the little kid with the glasses?
I believe so.
Yeah. I forgot.
His father was with him too, and he was kind of
his name is like somewhere on the card or something like that, because he didn't even want to touch the chalk, and his parents couldn't pull him away. He kept drawing his name everywhere on the car, and they're like, "You got enough."
You got him going,
and then, like
over.
right when his parents pulled him away, I don't know. Sorry if they were late to something. I was like, "Do you want to sit in it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And his parents were like, "Oh, here we go." And the kid was like, sitting. I got like this montage now of like, dude, the number of like children that have sat in the driver's seat of this car, and like every one of them, you could just see that universal language of like, I don't have to tell him how much horsepower is in it. I don't have to tell him how much it costs. I don't have to tell him anything about it. They sit in it, same feeling. And it's like that for any age of person, no matter what language you speak. Because I had one of these in a rental company that I was working for years ago. And
he was being a 458.
It was actually a 488.
A 488.
This is my preference. But he spent a bunch of money to rent it for the day, but he wasn't legal to drive in the States, but he didn't want to drive it. He's like, I want someone else to drive me in this car around. I just want to experience it. He spoke Spanish only. And I figured that out as I was picking him up, because he flew in from Mexico. And I picked him up, and we drove around in the car. We were in it for hours. We did not speak to each other once, but I kept looking over at the look on this guy's face. He must have been in his 70s, dude. And like, it was that universal language of like, I understand what I'm experiencing, and we're both feeling the same exact way, and we don't even have to talk to each other.
Yeah. I feel like non-car people don't understand the type of feeling you can get from just being around these things. Like supercars, like it's kind of like to the point where like there people ask like, why, for example, South OC Cars and Coffee, where we're at today. Why is that even a thing? Why could you bring such a large community of people? And you have, from even the experience today, you have people who know nothing about supercars, know everything about supercars, people who are involved in the media. But being able to bring a community of people like that and just share in the good vibes, people underestimate the power of these things, let alone if you own one, what you can do. Like even having the ability to have this Ferrari and you to have that Audi, and like Gavin have his Alpha, being able to connect us, that's just one prowess that these things even have. And then you attach the monetary value to them, the financial value to them, and even like you said, be the ability to give back to kids. Like whenever I see a kid and I see them looking, or their parents are like, can we take a photo in the thing? I'm like, here's the key, sit in the driver's seat, take as many photos and videos you want, because I remember being the kid, seeing something that I couldn't even understand when I was looking at the time. Didn't know what the moniker was, didn't know anything like that. All I knew was I saw the dude in the driver's seat, and I was like, I will do whatever it takes to become that person. Exactly. And then as life develops, you realize, okay, these people are more tailored this way. They're more tailored to do this. This is how they talk. This is how they walk. This is how they do it. And then slowly you wake up one day and you're that person.
Exactly.
It's like the whole development of everything. And
working on it.
We're still working on it.
I'm still working on it.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know about you guys, but like even having to be able like to have this, I'm not done. I'm nowhere near
finished. Dude, I'm gonna be so pissed if I die and I don't have a Mercy. I'll be like, God, I need you to bring me back for a little bit of time.
Give me like another 30 days. Like, I'll make it happen. I'll do whatever I have to do. Is that your official, like, if you only had
Mercy SV,
anything? Only one.
My favorite question, people are like, what garage of cars are you about? A Mercy in multiple colors, like the same car.
Dude, obsessed with the thing.
I've never driven one either. It's just the car. It's the car that was on the front of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. It was the yellow car that triggered it for me, that I could not let go of the image, burned into my brain. You know,
like I've never driven one.
Never.
We got to change that. The power of the internet, we have to be able to change that. If we can't get Will in a damn Mercy
into a Mercy,
it's funny, like the access to like cars. I've been able to drive a lot of really fun cars, and that's why I've been able to sell parts for cars. I've experienced so many of them, but I cannot touch. It's like the unicorn that it just escapes me. Like I just can't.
You know why? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
The universe knows the day that it can put you in that driver's seat.
Yeah.
It's creating or it's finalizing the monster that it's created, and it's like I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to go after that thing with my entire force.
The sound of a Mercy SV just pulling off and ripping through the gears is.
I just can't believe that's your one.
It might be the best.
If you could pick anything, I'm telling you right now, you have financial is not a problem.
Yeah.
You can only have one.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, I proved it with the print. Like when Longtail Rally said you can have it. Like it was a TED 7 print. TED 7's a photographer that shot every car under the sun. And they were like, any car you want. And I remember scrolling through it and I was like, where's the Mercy? And I found one. I was like, this one. I was debating between that and a P1 GTR. I was like, nah, Mercy. Do the Mercy SV
the P1
for sure.
GTR is so beautiful.
You know? But like they all cost the same. They're just a picture, it's a canvas, you know, but that was it. That was the car, dude.
Can I ask you a little bit of a question going back to your origin story to get where you're at?
Yeah.
If you had to change one specific thing or do something differently, what would it be? If it's anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, the cliche is that like everything brought you here, so you wouldn't change anything. But like,
right. That's why I'm giving you the opportunity. Like,
it's hard to think because it's like I feel like I've been so focused for so long. Like I had that dream dialed.
Yeah, I'm not looking back and like pushing to the forward type thing.
Yeah. I think one thing that I need to do now is like less of TikTok. Like I think about that a lot, actually. I think about instead of me looking back to the past version of myself and like what would I change in the past to change my current situation, I think in the future of, the 80-year-old version of me, how would I look at how I'm spending my 20s and my 30s and would it piss me off? You know, would I have resentment? I'm terrified of getting to that age and being like, I did not go 100% or I wasted it. So I think it's more of like looking the other direction, because every time I'm like on TikTok for like 3 hours straight, I'm like, I don't remember any of the videos I watched and 3 hours are gone. And what could I have built in 3 hours? Like I ruined it. I ruined that. I got nothing from that.
How many
experience.
videos could you have edited? How much content have you been gotten? Everything in between. I agree.
It has a death grip on me, dude. Like it really does. Like that is my
It's
worst
entertaining.
vice.
It is extremely entertaining.
It's my worst vice. But like I think about that often because I'm like, how much of my 20s are slipping through my fingers at the hands of TikTok, you know? TikTok specifically.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, you seem like the kind of person that when you wake up, you have an agenda, you have things to do. Do you ever feel like, and I'm asking you this because it's kind of like I'm trying to relate myself to the same dynamic. Do you feel like you're still not doing enough?
All the time.
Every day you wake up?
I get sick frequently because my body's like, hello,
can we get a break or something?
Yeah. Like I texted my roommate my weekend plans this week. I was like, any of this you want to go to, you can do it. He's like, dude, I can do like one of those things. You know? It's like, I don't have the bandwidth for all that stuff, you know?
100%.
But it's like, dude, I have a book out. It's called The Art of Unpredictability. In it, I say, live like you're dying at midnight. Like, don't, like, be patient, like we talked about the marshmallow thing, but at the same time, like, start writing checks like you're dying at midnight. Like, don't wait until you're 45 to buy your supercar. Get it in your 20s.
There's no fun in that.
Yeah.
What fun is it if I have this when I'm 55, I can't walk, I can't even raise my arms. I'd rather have it when I'm 25 and I'm still bad, you know what?
Well, I'm going to be in really good shape at 55, so.
That's true.
But even just
Gavin
like,
is, I'm not.
Experiences in general. like travel, like, God, I hate it when I watch like creators be like, what, just booked a flight. It's like, how do I pay for the flight? You know, there's practical steps to this.
Right. There's reality.
But dude, like the amount of stuff I accomplished for free when I was in the Air Force and when I was in college and had no social media following, was not a content creator, had very little money. Like you'd be surprised at what you can finesse your way in with delivering value in other ways besides money. So like a good example of that was like when I really wanted to go see a music festival. It was the last ever Tomorrow World in the States. And I didn't really have the money for it.
Sounds like a wild one.
That's a wild one.
That sounds like a wild one.
And,
glow art is what
I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I could potentially film one of these artists. Because if I film an artist, then I get a media pass in, right? This was in 2015, I think, yeah. And I look at the top line and it had like Armin van Buuren, I think, and like David Guetta and like these big names. I was like, I can't touch those guys. So I went a couple lines down.
Adds
and
up.
I found this DJ duo that I was like, okay, well, they had a song that just came out this month that I really like. What if I filmed that song? So I emailed them and I said, hey, I really want to film this song that you guys have. What do you think? And they're like, that's going to be the first time we ever play it live at a festival. We'd love for you to come. And I was like, perfect. So they gave me and one of my friends media passes. I was living in North Carolina. The festival was in Georgia. This story gets really bad really fast.
Can we know who it is, or you?
I'll tell you.
Okay, all right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Sorry.
I love it.
I get in his car and it's like this clapped out Nissan and I'm driving first shift because he stayed up all night. He was tired. He's sleeping. And we're on the road. It's going like 60-ish miles an hour. And traffic is starting to, squish up because it was raining. I think there was an accident way down. I hit the brakes kinda. Car doesn't slow down at all. And then I slam on the brakes. Car does not slow down at all. And I slap him. I'm like, we're about to get in a crash. This is the second car I totaled. We hit, there was an 18-wheeler in front of us. The emergency lane, someone drove in on the left, so I couldn't go there. All the lanes to the right were stacked. And I was like, either hit the 18-wheeler in front of me or the SUV in the lane to the left. And the SUV in a split second seemed like a cheaper car to hit. So I ran into that going only 60 miles an hour, which if you've never been in an accident, 60 is fast, dude.
That's destroying
it
cars.
Woke me up. Oh my God. We hit that car and that car hit another car and that car hit another car. And then I hit the median. And then nobody got hurt. And the cops told us, they said, if you hit that 18-wheeler going 60, you would have gone under it. It would have killed you on impact. So that split-second decision of me, thank God I was driving, not my buddy, saved our lives. And we got out of the car, and I was like, well, we can't let this artist down. Because I got to follow through on everything I say I do. And I wanted to go to this festival.
I respect that.
So we got our car towed, peeled off of the center median, and went and got a rental car. And if you've ever driven after a bad accident, try doing it immediately after said accident. You are very afraid of cars.
The emotional rush.
Oh my God,
being
dude.
an accident?
PTSD. It's like, dude, you're immediately thrown right back in this situation. You just left. Dude, I was like 30 under the whole way down to Georgia. And I found out later that my friend's brake fluid reservoir was empty, and the light came on, and he was like, "Oh, I reset the light, but I forgot to put the fluid in." So that's why the car didn't stop.
Good move on that one.
Yeah, shout out to that guy.
Yeah, really good move on that one.
Shout out to that guy.
We get to the show.
That sounds like clap Nissan activity.
That's definitely some clap Nissan activity.
This is where it all comes full circle, because we get to the show, and it rains like crazy, and this was the last Tomorrow World in the States because it's such a disaster. People were stuck on like the road in and out, couldn't get in. All the people with the media credentials couldn't get in, so that meant your boy was the only one with a camera in the festival, aside from like cell phones and stuff.
Right.
So all of a sudden, I had this amazing opportunity to be the only one to shoot the first ever time of Roses by the Chainsmokers being performed live for a festival. And that video went viral the minute I posted. I edited it on my cross-country drive from the East Coast to West Coast to day one of active duty military. But I remember showing up, and there were these DJs there, because they were in like the artist tent or whatever, and the Chainsmokers were so new. Selfie was their only hit. I didn't know what they really looked like.
Right.
I learned later they were standing right behind the artist I was talking to, where I was telling this crazy story. They were like, "Oh, you're like really late. They almost didn't give us our passes." And then I lifted up my shirt, and I'm like, "Here is the seatbelt burned into my chest from the accident I was in a couple hours ago. And I'm still here, so give me my pass." And they're like, "Oh, okay, fine. Here's upgraded to VIP. You could go anywhere you want." And the whole time we're telling this crash story, the Chainsmokers are standing right there, like listening to it. And I was like, "We gotta be here for the Chainsmokers, And I didn't realize it was them until we're in the front row, and you hear the drop to Roses. They come out, and I recognize the shirt they were wearing. I'm like, "Oh my God, we were right next to them. We didn't even know." They perform. It was amazing, and we've been friends ever since. And nice. I have since gone back and shot several Chainsmokers shows. Their photographer early on taught me some tips and tricks in photography. We're friends now, and the whole crew is just like, they went straight to the moon. But I was there when they first started and just barely got in just because I followed through on something. But
that's a good contact.
I almost died in that car accident, dude. That was
absolutely.
Yeah, we gotta hang out with the Chainsmokers.
I'm trying to hang out with the Chainsmokers.
Well, I think if we're good with it. So here's the deal for you guys. Come back next week, because we've got another episode with Will, but we got to wrap this one up.
We got to leave them with a cliffhanger. They got to have a reason to come back. We need a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot to cover still. We've barely talked about the R8. We're gonna go deeper in on the R8 as long as it's good with Will.
Yeah, we need to have something. There was a time when the Pentagon reached out to me and said that I was out of line and I wasn't allowed to do something, and I did it anyway. So we can.
Our nation's defense is out.
Another Will story with the Pentagon.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
Yes. Maybe we'll talk about some Porsches too, or Porsches. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
But thanks for joining.
Absolutely.